We're going live. Bing, bang, boom. Are we live on there?
We are live on everything.
Oh, well, would you look at that? Nice. All right, perfect. Welcome back. Episode 4, Tyler and Kyler Show. Since I've been sitting here kind of in awkward silence in your house for the last 25 minutes, let's finally catch up since it's been a long time coming. So what's been new the last couple weeks? Let's not even look at the notes. Put these aside. Tell me how life's been. Give me some insight.
Tell me how life's been. How has life been? I don't know.
You had volleyball practice.
Lots of
or
those.
Yeah.
Lots of those.
How's volleyball been?
I'm really sore. The coaches are like, okay, Tyler, this is how you're supposed to hit, and you need to hit like this, and you need to hit this way. And I'm like, I play back row. I'm not a hitter.
So it's been a little challenging learning different skill sets, having them push you a little bit.
So from my pecs all the way to my shoulders and my biceps, they're all super sore from hitting.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay, so volleyball's been good. How's school been? You're like a month or so in now. How's that been?
Oh, dude, it's like, okay, I thought about this today in class. I'm finding school to be more of this routine where I just go and I sit in the classroom and I listen to the teacher talk for an hour. Then I go to the next class and I sit in the classroom. I listen to the teacher talk for an hour, and so on and so forth. And I find it more to be a routine now than it is like, oh, I have to wake up in the morning, go to school, listen and learn. It's like, oh, I have to wake up, have to go get ready, have to go to school, have to sit in this class, have to sit in this class, have to sit in this class.
Is it because of just the information is not interesting, or is it just because, like, what is it about the routine that you're losing the sense of, like, actually learning? Because you went from listen to learn to now just, like, I just have to be there and just listen for an hour. Is there, like, are you losing the aspect of learning, or what is the...
No, I think...
What's losing your attention?
That came out of nowhere. I think that when I'm sitting in the classroom, I'm listening and I'm taking in the information, and then at home is when I actually, on the homework, I utilize the information. To where on classes where they don't give us homework, it's kind of like, okay, I know the information, but the only thing that goes into our grade is the test.
Okay.
Which, no homework is nice, but when the only thing that goes into your grade
is the test, it's like rough. You better be paying attention.
Yeah. So
what class are you finding the easiest to, like, what class actually gets your attention, or are there none that get your attention in, like, a good way?
Academics. Oh gosh, academics. Like, what is second period? No, not second period. Okay, I go English, chemistry, math. No, English, chemistry, Spanish, math, and all of those are like terribly boring. But then fifth period, I go to advanced video production, which after lunch, I told you a few weeks ago, was my reprieve. After lunch, it's all downhill now. So I have those 4 periods in a row, which are just absolute torture. They're like, I have to sit these classes, I have to listen to the teacher talk, and it just absolutely like drains all the energy out of you. So by the end of the day, you're like exhausted. But as soon as you get to fifth period, I'm like, okay, I'm fired up. I'm ready to go. I'm ready to film this video. I'm ready to edit this. I'm ready to look at these pictures, take these pictures, shoot this video. So
that's so interesting. Like, it makes me wonder, like, how on earth that could be a better system. Because that kind of, like, I mean, obviously you're gonna, like, the skills you're gonna learn from just having a routine, going through that process, it's good. But I don't know how many. I don't know. I don't want to sound like a negative person, but I don't know what more benefits you could change, like what benefits you could get out of those first 5 periods if you change some sort of a mindset or a perspective towards it. Because it's like, do you think with a perspective change or with a different mindset, you could actually get more out of it? So do you think you're kind of putting yourself in that position in a sense? Like,
in a way, like my first 2 periods, I'm more awake, but as soon as a break comes along, and then I go to Spanish. Spanish is what drains me of all my energy. Today, we sat in class, dead silent the entire time, and we're writing down 93 vocab words and their translations. And when you're doing that, and you're not just you're focused on just looking at your phone, looking at the translation, looking at this, writing it down, and you're not actually like learning or taking in anything, it's kind of draining.
So the process is draining.
Yeah.
So if there was a different way for you to learn it,
Yeah.
you'd be more intrigued. But the fact that it's like, hey, I get to spend an hour today just copying words down,
Yeah.
like that. I guess the word I'm looking like the passion is missing. The excitement of learning is missing. So yeah, I don't know, that's a challenge because at least like now that I'm out of school, whatever I decide to learn, it's something I chose to do. So like when I listen to a podcast and they recommend some sort of like go online, take this questionnaire and do this, it's like those things actually intrigue me. It's like, sure, I'll go take a test because I'm going to learn something good from it. Whereas
that's how I am. It's like if I'm watching a YouTube and they're like, oh, I have this free lesson on how to change these settings on your camera, or I have this lesson on shooting at night, and I'll go and I'll look at the lesson and I'll watch and I'll read through it. It's a lot, and I'll actually take notes. And I have 3 journals. I have my idea, my church, and my photography journal.
Nice.
So I have to have it organized in different things, but I'll take notes, and I find that fun, and I find that it doesn't drain my energy. It actually like gets me more excited. So where after I'm done with that, I go pick up my camera, I'll walk outside, I'll take pictures. But as from school, I'm like, when I get home, I like sit down on the couch. I'm not taking out my Spanish notebook, running,
just all excited, like here we go. Because I mean, obviously, dude, whether you're in a position where you could actually build a very strong skill set just from learning how to speak a second language. But I guess, I mean, dude, I took 2 years of Spanish in high school and I don't remember anything, literally anything. That's insane. See, but the funny thing is I worked at Hana Sushi and all the cooks in the back were Hispanic. And so within 6 months, I was able to communicate really well with them just based off of just like rough trying to communicate. Yeah. And it's like, that was so much funner to learn than having to do. Yeah. I don't know. So the process of learning, I guess it could be a challenge.
My chemistry teacher, he's really heavy Jamaican accent.
Yeah.
And the funniest thing is our school is predominantly Hispanic. And so when he'll like say numbers in Spanish. And it's the funniest thing because he never says it right. He said ocha or something for ocho. I don't even remember. But
and all of the like Hispanic kids in class probably just get a kick out of it.
They were laughing so hard.
No, that's pretty funny. Nice. Okay, so school's been good. Kind of. Volleyball's been good. Anything else new going on? Anything at church? Anything like that you want to share before we get into some stuff?
Dude, okay. So remember, I'm writing the sermon in a group of kids.
Okay.
First kid just gave his yesterday.
Okay.
And so we have a few more weekends left until my sermon's here.
Yeah.
I'm really nervous. Oh, it's
when's the last time you ran through it? Obviously, you said you were working on it with them. So you've obviously preached it through numerous times since you preached it like a couple weeks ago to me, yeah?
No.
Oh, you have?
That was the last time I've looked over
Never mind. I take that back. You got to work on it. Got to practice.
Oh.
Dude, but your first sermon's always going to be like, it's going to be so memorable because I will never, ever, ever forget the first time I preached at church. That was one of the coolest, most life-changing moments I've ever had. That was a big, big, big win. So for me, last couple of weeks, I broke my foot. Didn't know that I broke it until like 10 days after. So I broke it on a Wednesday, walked on it till I think like the next Thursday. And then once the swelling went down, the pain just went like through the roof. So I went in there and I'm like, hey, what's wrong? They're like, yeah, you fractured your foot and you should put a boot on and get a cast. And I'm like, nah. I'm just going to keep walking on it and I'll regret it later down the line. So yeah, that has been pretty much just dealing with that. And instead of being super motivated while I have all this time to do and working on all these amazing things for the podcast, I have done a bunch of playing video games and I've just been so chillaxed doing a bunch of lazy things. And dude, it's what's so funny is like getting ready to do this today. It was like half my body was like, oh my gosh, like you don't need to do this, Kyler. Like you just like, here's all these excuses that you could focus on. And then the other part of me was like, bro, you are going to go crazy if you don't do this again.
Dude,
like
that's exactly where I'm at right now is I don't even 5,000 pictures or something like that to just go through and edit. I haven't stacked on top of each other. And I've told you beforehand, I have 4 shoots coming up. And I have to edit all those pictures too.
Dude, yeah. See, you have a full plate. I have a plate that's like half empty, and I just want to fill it with video games. So I got to get speaking of like getting back on track, that's like the whole purpose of today is like how to work towards your goals, how to stay on track, how to have all that good stuff. And dude, to be honest, I think the number one most important thing is starting with the right mindset. Cause like these like I said, last 2 weeks of not doing the podcast, it's like every day that went by that we didn't do it, my mindset was falling back off of staying productive and back on whatever I had before we started doing this.
Yep.
And I think it all begins like getting back on track today. I had to make a conscious decision because if I didn't make that decision, the decision would have been made for me by my laziness, and I would have decided just to not do it. So a good Bible verse that I like to think of when it comes to my mindset is it says in Romans, like, do not be conformed to this world. Like, don't continue to do all the things you've been doing, but instead be transformed by the renewing of your mind. And the best way to renew your mind is by learning new things, spending time in the Word, and just really making sure you got the right group around you to motivate you towards that. So I have written down on the notes, obviously, to start with a good mindset. And most of these notes that I have in here are all from past journals. Like I had journals going back from 2013, and I was just reading all of them, trying to take this information from old ones and bring it into new ones. And so I'm curious when it comes to mindset and it comes to like when I think of you and your goals that you've accomplished when it comes to like video programming and all those types of things, how, like, there's a quote right here where it says, burn the ships. And what I mean by that is when you make a decision to achieve a goal, you basically need to like burn all your excuses to go back to this. Like where I got burn the ships from was there was a story of this like military group that travels to another region. They travel there by ship and they get there on land. And when they look at the armies, they go, oh my gosh, we're outnumbered 10-1. Like, what are we going to do? And the leader was like, you know what? We don't have enough food to go back on the ship. So he burns all the ships and he goes, we either stay here and die or we go fight and maybe survive. And so that analogy of burning the ships, basically giving you no way to run back. I think about it like when it comes to your goals that you've accomplished, has there ever been a moment where you had to burn your ships? Or in your mind, has there ever been a moment where you're like, all right, if I'm going to work towards this, I can't have any of that attached to me? Could be friends, could be you had to give up on an old sport or an old hobby in order to make a new one. Has there ever been a big monumental moment where you remember you had to burn your ships? If not, I can give one of mine that I remember just a couple weeks ago or a couple years ago. I got multiple ones where I had to.
So maybe not necessarily the same, like, have to give this up, but I remember days where I'm like, oh, I don't have to do the activate the word tonight. It's my birthday. Or I don't need to do this. It's that. Or
Yep.
And I'm like, that's not an excuse. Hold up. That's not an excuse to do what I have to do. And I think that a big part of me posting it where everybody can see it is I have the pressure to put it out every night, which I think is a good thing for me because I have the pressure to do my Bible study every night, to put this out for other people, not just like I have it for myself mainly, but put it out for other people. And if I miss a night, I feel like people would like text me and be like, hey, what's up? Why didn't you put one out? And I don't know. I just don't like that idea of missing a night.
Yep.
Especially since I'm approaching 100 days. I think that I really don't want to miss one. So I have to remember to burn all these ideas of, oh, just because it's my birthday doesn't mean I don't get to read the Bible.
I like that. I like that a lot. So basically the fact that you've built a daily routine where you've built a reputation, not only to others, but to yourself, you have that internal sense of like, if I don't do this, I'm betraying what I'm working towards. Because that's exactly how I am with Coffee with Kyler. Like I think it was this last Saturday, I woke up at noon. Or no, I woke up at 11:52 or something like that. I usually wake up at 4:30 in the morning. I don't know how my body slept that long, but I woke up and I thought, I have 10 minutes till I can't say good morning on Instagram. I Coffee with Kyler has to get done now. So instead of spending time actually like working on a video, I literally just grabbed my phone. I'm like, hey guys, and made this like 20-second video, and that was the only video that's never been 60 seconds. And it was so crazy how the guilt and the shame and this, dude, I beat myself up so bad that day because it, like, obviously I still got it done, but it was not really aligned with what I wanted to do. It's almost like if you put a activate the word out and it was only half your little page or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's like there's that struggle every day of doing what you've already committed to because of either fear of how you're going to feel on the inside or what your fear of like others perceiving you as.
I think that like what you said, like activate the word or put out like half my page is like sometimes like I think you even come to like a blank sometimes when you're writing. And so there's like weeks on weeks I'm like, dude, I have this to write about, I could do that, I could do this, like I could do all of this. And like even when I was sick, I'm like making my bed ready to go to bed, and I'm like, this is a perfect analogy.
Yes.
Everybody takes sick days, right? So I'm like, okay. But then the week before that, I'm like, dude, I have nothing to write about. So I'm like, come to church today. We have this, and that going on. And I even said at the beginning, this is going to be a weird one because it wasn't like what I'm like. God has this plan for you, that plan for you. It was like, we need to come to church. We're giving out Starbucks gift cards or whatever.
Yeah.
And so I think that part of writing the daily, I call mine a daily devotional kind of thing. Part of writing that is that you draw blanks and you sometimes lose the motivation. So I try not to like get so mad at myself if I don't have that motivation, because I know I can turn to this Bible study, and if that Bible study if I don't get anything from that, I could turn to this one, and if I don't get anything from that, I'm like, what do I do now?
Yeah, dude, trust me, especially like, so everybody's probably heard the routine already, but Coffee with Kyler, I usually film it every day on lunch at work so that I can do the whole nice paragraph, I can get it crafted, I have time to edit the video, all that good stuff. Monday mornings, typically, you'll see on the videos, it's like pitch black because it's in my car at 4:45, 5 o'clock. And it's funny that those mornings, like this morning, when I'm sitting there and I'm like, I'm looking at the clock and I'm like, okay, God, I got to walk into work in 8 minutes. Like, how are you going to do this? And it's like, there's those moments where your mind is completely blank and you're just like, okay, God, I'm grabbing at straws. Give me something.
Yeah.
But I think it's the fact that, I don't know, I was talking about this to somebody the other day. You do it at night before you go to bed. I do it at morning right when I wake up. And when I wake up, it's almost like I'm training my brain to think in a different way. Like I'm reframing the way that my brain actually like circuits right when I wake up, instead of thinking like, oh, what do I want for breakfast? What do I want to drink? It's like, okay, my brain is thinking up, what's Coffee with Kyler going to be?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm literally, if I stub my toe, I'm like, okay, how do I turn that into a video? Like sometimes you just run into walls. Like it's like, and it's crazy. You probably have that same thing at night where it's like, oh, 8:30. Oh, the dishes aren't done. Sometimes things are going to get dirty. Your hands have to get dry. It's crazy how life will preach to you. But when it comes to like anybody making a goal, anybody, this idea of mindset that I had written down, your mind will literally change. Like if you could see the structures in your brain on how your brain basically takes this normal path, when you start a new goal and you're actively trying to pursue it, it's like you're trying to pave a new road within your mind, a new way of thinking, a new way of looking at things. But I feel like with that process comes a huge learning curve. Like it didn't start happening noticeably until probably like 50, 60 days, where it's like you'd wake up or you'd be going to bed consumed with the thought of how do I make this work. But I mean, would you say that as time goes on, it gets a little bit easier to come up with the ideas?
Oh yeah, like I said, like last Friday, 2 Fridays ago, I took a sick day, and that was why we missed the. Well, that's one of the reasons we missed the podcast.
Yeah.
And as I'm going to bed, I'm making my bed. I'm like, this is I said a few minutes ago. This is a perfect analogy. I can turn this into everybody takes sick days.
Yep.
But God's love for you never takes a sick day. God's always there. His love is always there for you. And I thought that was the most simple thing that I could have done. I thought that was the easiest thing I could have written about. That was a good analogy in a way, but it was not something a lot of people are going to react to. I had like 5 people text me that night. Oh, I love this one. This is perfect. And people are reposting it. And I'm like, dude, that was seriously one of the most simple ones I've ever written.
But but do you think that you would have ever thought of that analogy 100 days ago? Ever?
No.
Never, right? And it's crazy how you go through that intense learning curve where all of a sudden when something bad happens to you or something inconvenient happens, it's like you can always find a learning lesson out of it. And I think no matter what goal you're working towards, there are going to be those moments where it's like if you're trying to pay off, like let's say you're in debt and you're trying to pay something off, like you bought a new camera and you need to pay it off. If you needed to do something like that, I feel like as the process goes of like paying off your goal, like if you pay it good the first month, pay it good the second month, something happens on the third, you got to redo it. There's a learning process you're going to have to go through. And by the time you're 8 months or a year into paying this off, you're going to have a routine. Your budget's going to change. Everything's going to be going through a good process. But another thing that comes along with the learning curve is obviously going through this like emotional suffering or this overcoming of suffering. Because I know that for me, there are dark days where I'm like, dude, I don't want to do coffee with Kyler. Like I think, what was it, 2 or 3 days ago? I woke up and I'm like, I just don't feel like doing it today.
Oh yeah.
Like
yes,
I just because it's almost like you don't want to spend the 10, 20 or 30 minutes thinking about it. You just want to do something else for you. It's almost like that selfish desire just like stirs up and you're like, can I please just have time to myself? Like it's
yeah, for sure. Like the late nights where I think it was last Friday is I got home from a shoot and I'm sitting in bed and I'm like, dude, I really gotta do this, activate the word, but I'm exhausted. I just want to go to sleep. And I'm like, hold up, take a pause. Nope, gotta do it. Pull out my phone, look at my Bible study, do it, write it out. It may have been short. I don't remember what it was. It may have been short.
Right.
But I got it pumped out and I got it over with, and I realized afterwards, hey, that wasn't so bad.
It never is, yeah.
That big of a deal.
That's a good point to make. It never is as bad as you anticipate it to be. Like, I don't know if there's ever been a problem that I've worried about and then finally faced it, and it's been bigger than the worries that I've had. Like, I think human beings are just great at coming up with the worst possible scenario and it never actually coming true.
That's definitely, I have written that in my sermon, is I am one of those people who thinks about the worst possible outcome and the worst possible outcome. And I have my day planned out with the expectation that, oh, I'm gonna get an F on this, I'm gonna fail this test. This is gonna happen, or this is gonna take forever. I'm not gonna finish it in this period, and I'm gonna have it for homework. When I get to that test, I get an A on the test. When I get to that period where I'm like, oh, I'm not gonna be able to finish this essay in this period, I'm gonna have homework. It gets done. And I think it's never as bad as I think it is.
It really isn't. And I wrote down here like emotional intelligence. Like you begin as you go through the obviously me and you have both learned through this process of working towards this goal that you become more aware of those emotions. Like you just said, when you're sitting there thinking, I don't want to do this, I'm tired, you went, whoa, okay, those aren't good emotions. Like I have to fix this. And it's like the same thing the other morning. I'm like, dude, I don't want to do this. Like, I'm so tired of giving my time away, thinking all these horrible things. And it's like, wait, no, this is horribly bad. This is poisonous. This is not going to get me to where I'm trying to go. So I think that was a really good point. Really good point. Next thing I have written, become teachable and hungry to learn. Well, we've already touched on this a couple times when it comes to like, when you are chasing after something you're interested in learning, it's much, much easier. Like writing this whole thing up, these entire 3 pages of notes took me like 2 freaking minutes because I'm obsessed with certain things like this. When it comes to working towards something or your goals, I'm obsessed with it. But a lot of the times, ego blocks a lot of us from being taught. I know that especially still being a young adult, I know there's times where I think I know what's right. I think I know how it's going to turn out. And I'm completely wrong because I'm still completely ignorant in how a lot of the ways the world works. And I think when you're heading towards a goal like us trying to become bigger podcasters or us trying to make future business out of our Activate the Word or Coffee with Kyler, as we're working towards all of that, I think it's really important to realize and remind ourselves that we do not know every step on the path to where we're trying to head. Yeah, I think that's a huge thing. I'm curious when it comes to the podcast and Activate the Word, what do you think your biggest lesson that you've learned yet is? Is there a lesson that you've been like, wow, I never would have thought I would have learned this just by doing Activate the Word?
So I'm on a 92-day plan, which is almost over. I'm on like day 85 and 92, which is insane because when I started it, I'm like, okay, I'm going to start this. I'm going to do it for 3 days. I'm never going to finish it.
Are you talking about on the Bible app? You started a 92-day plan?
Yeah.
Oh, dude, that is so impressive.
And I'm on day 85 right now. And there are things in that I was like, I thought I knew, and I thought I knew this, and it comes up one day, and I'm like, I thought there was a different outcome to this. I thought that this ended differently, or I don't even know. There's parts of it where I was like, I never even knew this happened. I never teach this in church, or I'm doing this 92-day plan. I have a 7-day plan going on too for my Activate the Word, and that's where I get most of my inspiration.
Gotcha.
And there's things in there where I'm like, this is perfect. I can write about this, and 2 years down the line, I see this, and I'm like, this is going to change my entire attitude on life. It's going to change my entire outlook on life. It's just, I don't know. There's stuff that I think, like you said, I wouldn't have learned if I wasn't doing Activate the Word. And I think a big part of that is that I don't have an excuse for not reading my plans. I don't have an excuse for not reading the Bible. I don't have an excuse because before bed, when you wake up, you can find 5 minutes to do it. You can always find 5 minutes. Your break at work, your lunch at work.
Dude, you are preaching to some people right now that love to make excuses, and you just told them you can find 5 minutes, and if you can't, there's no excuse. Dude, you make a really good point, because Tony Robbins, I love listening to that guy. I don't know if you know who he is. Huge motivational speaker guy. Not motivational speaker. He is a strategical strategist. He doesn't like being called motivational speaker. But either way, he always says that no matter what, guaranteed you have 15 minutes for yourself every day to work on something to make yourself more mentally healthy, whatever it may be. So I love that. That's huge. I mean, for me, when it comes to Coffee with Kyler, the number one thing I've learned from doing that is that no matter what life throws at you, you can learn something from it. Like, I've loved the fact that no matter how hard life may feel some days, when it comes down to trying to learn something from it, I always can find something. I always can find a meaning for whatever crap it is that I'm going through. And I really love the fact that just by doing a simple 1-minute video every day, it's had that much of an impact on my life. And I'm like, really hope and pray that whoever is listening, if there is something that you're working towards, that you would realize that even just 10 minutes a day of working towards it and adding a little bit of progress, even if it doesn't feel like progress, after 50, 90, 100, 200 days, it's going to literally, transform your mind and potentially transform your entire life. And, we've already talked about that. I had the whole neural reprogramming, how the way you change you basically repave paths within your mind. And then, so the process of crafting a goal. This is always something I liked learning about back in the day, because goal setting was always really intriguing for me, because I always liked to set goals, but it was really hard for me to achieve them most of the time.
Dude, yeah, you should see my idea notebook. It's full of ideas that like, because I went through a phase where like stock investing was like the thing I loved, and I was reading about it, and I had you have the 3 to 4 put outcome that you could get 2 shares with $100, and you have this when you buy it this uptrend and you sell it this I forgot all this stuff. But
that's pretty impressive. I had no idea that was an interest of yours.
Dude, I used to love it, and then it just ended. And then I moved on to some other hobby, and then some other hobby, and after that, like, I haven't played paintball all of 2018.
Yeah,
I was big into it 2017, but all of 2018, I haven't touched the field, and I want to say it's September now.
Wow, yeah, that is. We're almost through the whole year, and you haven't been yet. So, I mean, dude, I'm the exact same way. I have probably started and stopped like countless amounts of goals. Like, I mean, I tried doing instruments. I tried starting my own business. There's countless numbers of goals that I've tried to achieve. And even though I haven't achieved like the desired outcome in many of them, it's the process of chasing after those goals that gives me so many skills, so much knowledge, and a lot more emotional intelligence to face whatever next goal I choose. Because, dude, Coffee with Kyler is the longest goal I think I've ever actually continued to work towards. We're at like 205 days in a row of just daily working towards something. And it's through what's funny is I have so many ways of crafting a goal that I have written down. And I think the most important thing when it comes to achieving a goal is having it written down. Like the moment I wrote down and like preached it out to the world, like I'm going to start doing this. It's like that made it real. Writing it down made it real. And then,
I think like when I started just copy and paste off my Bible study and including that, tonight's going to be the 85th, which I think I started just after you hit 100.
Nice.
Like maybe 15 days, 20 days after you hit 100. And I'm thinking about that now. I'm like, dude, this is insane. I'm almost at 100 of these, and it felt not even like
it doesn't feel like any. Yeah, it doesn't feel like anything.
It hasn't been this long of a time. If I look at them all laid out, it's in this insane amount of work that I've done, or not insane amount of work. It's just like insane amount of just
writing
information.
Yes.
But when I look at it and I remember back to when I started the day after we got home from camp as a way to keep me focused on God. Because usually I get home from camp and I'm like, poof, God's out of my mind until Sunday. But I started the day after I started camp. My first Bible study, I started on the way
back right on the bus ride. Yeah.
But I started my first Activate the Word on the day after camp. And I'm like, that wasn't that long ago. It seriously was that I remember I went from camp straight to Arizona. I didn't even come home in between that time. And I remember sitting outside in Arizona in super hot weather in the morning and writing one of these things. And I'm like, it really wasn't that long ago. But when I lay it out, it's
a tremendous amount of work.
Dude,
because if I laid out just the little captions from every Coffee with Kyler video, dude, I can make a 200-day devotional.
Yeah.
Like there's legit, like it's a lot of information that you're putting out into the world. And I think it's through that process, obviously, of putting it out there, like, I don't know, it literally transforms everything.
Yeah, and if you actually, like you say, 5 minutes a day for one of these Activate the Words, and then you lay that out, you're like, whoa, that was weird. Lay that out over 100 days, that's 500 minutes. That's just over 4 hours. Wait.
Yeah,
just over.
Well, so wait, hold on. 5 times 100. That's 500.
Yeah.
Yeah, 500 minutes.
60.
Let's just say it's 600 minutes. That'd be 10 hours, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so you're roughly around like 8 hours-ish, right? Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah. That's pretty impressive. Like straight just scribbling for 8. Yeah, that's.
But if you lay that out in a day, that's not even 24. You probably spend 8 hours at work. You probably spend 8 hours at school.
Yeah.
So
what I want to say is, look at 8 hours of time spent over 90 days and look at the dramatic effect it's had on your mindset, it's had on your life, it's had on the decisions you're making. So 5 minutes a day in 90 days has legitimately transformed your life.
Yeah, and if you look at it, I spend 8 hours a day.
You spend 8 hours a day at school.
Yeah, 8 hours a day at school. But then 8 minutes of my day goes into reading. Goes into reading this. And if I look at those 8 hours, it's a lot of work. But if I can't find 8 minutes a day to read this, then I wouldn't have any of that work. But if I found 8 hours a day to read this, I couldn't write.
No, it's the compound effect. It's almost like the compound effect of what it's doing to your mind, what it's doing to everything over time. Because I guarantee that if I didn't do Coffee with Kyler and I would have broken my foot, I would still be complaining in tremendous anger and frustration about how much it's inconvenienced me.
Yeah.
Like having to hobble around at work, having to be in pain all the time, all this garbage. I would love to sit here and milk it as an excuse to be bitter, frustrated, upset, and angry. But the fact that my whole mindset's changed. It's like, oh, something bad happens to me. It's like,
I can use this.
yeah, I can use this as a teaching lesson. I can use it. I can literally just stand on my 2 feet with a smile on my face. And when people go, isn't your foot broken? Yeah, whoop-de-doo. It's like,
And you said earlier, I have all this time where I can spend writing these, but I'm using them to play video games. You can use, like I said a few seconds ago, you can use that not just for a copy of Cloud, but you can use that productive time to work towards your next goal or to work towards something that you have wanted to do, but you haven't been able to find the time to do it.
Yep.
And if you can't find, I said a few minutes ago, if you can't find 8 minutes to read one of these, you can use that time in that inconvenience. If you stay home sick one day, you spend that entire day working towards your goal. Like my sick day I spent on photography. You can spend an entire day working towards your next goal. Or you can spend any free time that you have, any inconvenience that you come up with, if that comes up in your life, use that time productively. Use that time in your advantage and not sitting like Office is a good show, but don't sit all day and watch The Office.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. So we did that math. Now, I mean, I'm enthralled with this idea. So 8 hours over 90 days. Even if I tried, because not only it's almost like the fact that you get those breaks in between, those 24-hour breaks gives you that much more time for your mindset to recharge, to see something clearer. Like a lot of people, when they work towards a goal, they think, I'm going to work so hard for a week and then it's going to get done. That's not how it works. It's 10 minutes a day for 10 months and then watch what happens. I guarantee 10 minutes a day for 10 months would get you more accomplished than 10 hours a day for 10 weeks. I guarantee it. Like legitimately guarantee you probably would.
So like we go back to activate the word. It's almost 90 days, which is over maybe 3.5 months, roughly 3.5 months. And when you lay it out like that, it still doesn't seem like that much time.
Yep.
90 days. 90 days. 90 days. It sounds like that. That sounds like a big chunk of time. 3.5 months sounds like a big chunk of time. But when you break it down to 8 minutes a day, 8 minutes out of an hour, out of 24 hours, really isn't anything.
People spend 8 minutes on their Instagram while they're just using the restroom every day. It's like, bro, you could literally delete Instagram, download the Bible app, and then you got 8 minutes of transforming your mind instead of trashing your mind.
Yeah, Bible plan. Just seriously, Bible app, Bible plans. Those are tremendously helpful on keeping me
huge tools,
keeping me focused on God. And I think I use the analogy of my camera the other day, and when I'm focusing, manual focus on the lens, and I'm focusing on my subject, if I twist the focus ring just a little bit, it's out of focus. But if I twist it back a little bit, it's perfectly in focus. So I think if God is our subject and we have this camera and we're twisting our focus ring just a little bit to the left, and it's perfect. A little bit more to the left, and he's out of focus.
Yep.
So if we need to get a Bible plan, if we're going to church every Sunday, we're worshiping, we're praying every day, we're reading our Bible, and we still feel empty inside.
Which a lot of people do.
I think the next big step is to start reading a daily devotional, just to have someone analyze this information for you, because I know, especially for teenagers, it's hard for us to understand some of this. For some of us, it's hard for us to understand the information that comes out of this. And I think if we pick up a daily devotional where someone is analyzing it for us, and then I think a big part of me retaining that information is writing it down, not necessarily writing it down physically, but text, like putting it into my phone. If we're able to do that, we're going to retain the information better. We're going to know what's going on. And I honestly, like you said, I changed my mindset, and it's changed just how I look at everything daily.
Mhm.
Like I said, making bed and I'm sick. I'm like, I could use this.
Mm-hmm.
Or you said stub your toe, and oh, we all run into walls sometimes.
Yeah.
It's gonna change your mindset just because someone else analyzes information that you may or may not understand.
Mm-hmm. And it's through the process of continually reading other people's analyzations that you now develop the ability to analyze your own life in a certain way. And yeah, I love that about it. And so one thing I had in here that I wanted to touch on, because there's sometimes where people, like, we talk about goals that are, I want to say, more like materialistic goals, but some people have emotional goals, spiritual goals. Some people have goals that are even out of their realm of control, like what if people have cancer, or if people are unable to get pregnant, or things like that they're not able to control. I mean, this is totally Bible based. So if you're not a Christian, then I apologize. This is just the way I think, and this is the way the Bible teaches me to work. Is that we have to have faith in things that are not yet seen. And when it comes to cancer or infertility, things like that, if you're the person struggling with this issue, I feel as though as time passes on and the issue has not been resolved, your faith begins to slowly dwindle more and more. And the longer you go without seeing the results of God providing healing or providing a future baby for you, you're going to begin to have faith in the thing that's not going to happen. Just like your sermon says, like, you have faith in what could happen, or you have faith in the negative, basically. And I feel when people are struggling with these huge things that are out of their control, after a long period of time, they begin to have stronger faith in the negative than in the positive. And it's sometimes this faith is so unconscious that they don't even realize it's happening. They say to everybody, I'm going to be cancer free, or I'm going to have a baby. This is going to happen. But yet in the back of their mind, they have this tremendous doubt that's like, I don't know where I heard this from, but there was somebody that was saying that your body can legitimately produce like poisons. Like, if you have this faith that I'm stuck, I'm sick, I'm not going to be able to have a kid or whatever, those types of mindsets can legitimately, your brain can poison your body and make that a legitimate reality. So what I want to say to whoever's listening, if you're struggling with one of those areas, whether it's cancer, infertility, one of those bodily issues that are not under your control, one thing that I would encourage you to do, this is going to be extremely difficult, but if you could just stand in front of a mirror, or stand in front of somebody that I would say stand in front of a mirror so you can see yourself, but profess it to God every day. Lord, I have faith that this is going to change. Lord, I have faith this is going to change. To rewire, like we said, rewiring your mind. If you can train your brain to think that this is going to happen. And I don't want people to think like, oh, Kyler, you're just telling people to have faith. Like, what if this doesn't happen? Well, I'd rather encourage people to believe it's going to happen, and then eventually it may not, than have them continue to be defeated.
Yeah. And you brought up faith earlier, and I just want to bring in this. You said that sometimes you don't know about this faith. You don't see it. In the actual Bible definition of faith is Hebrews 11:1. Now, faith is confidence in what we hope for and assurance about what we do not see. And a few seconds ago, you said, what did you say?
I said, yeah, faith is evidence of things not yet seen.
So,
did you lose your little train of thought?
I did.
I'll give you a second. Think about it.
Because you said, what was the last thing you said when you were talking?
How your faith, you can literally poison your body. You can poison your mindset. You literally will manifest what you fear most based off of continual lack of proof that it's going to actually happen.
So my science teacher last year, she was, every single day we walked into her class and she had us like recite the line, oh, I'm going to get an A in this class. I'm going to pass this class.
Wait, your teacher had you do that every day?
Every day.
Bro, who's your teacher?
She was Miss Nank at Elsewhere High School.
Okay, you are awesome. I don't know who you are, but you are the best teacher ever. That is absolutely amazing. Continue on. Dude, that just gave me goosebumps. That's epic.
So, and she told us that this will like remap your brain. Like you will if you start to believe this and you say it every day,
Yep.
it'll actually happen. So
Yep.
I have a whiteboard in my room, and I have written stuff down from last year, not necessarily applies to this year,
Mhm.
but I have stuff written down about I think it's right when I started Activate the Word. And I was like, I'm going to do this every day. I'm going to do Activate the Word every day.
Mhm.
I'm going to follow this path with God. I'm going to get better at volleyball. I'm going to get better at paintball.
Yep.
And it doesn't necessarily apply to this year, but I tried to say those every night. And I like earlier you said that how you have a lot of goals that don't necessarily go through. That was one of mine. Is I was
Mhm.
going to sit down in bed and I was going to read this before I went to bed, and I was going to wake up every morning. I'm going to read it. And most simple thing in the world, just read this thing off my board. Don't need to write it. Don't do anything. Just look at it, read it out loud.
Mhm.
And I couldn't do that.
Mhm.
But when I bring it out and I say, hey, that was weird. Wait, where am I trying to not going?
No, I know what you mean. I know what you mean.
But if I post it on Instagram every night and I say that this is something I'm doing, this is something I need to be kept on track, keep focus on God.
Mhm.
And if I have that pressure from other people around me to do this every night,
Yep.
it's going to be the goal. To where if it's just a me thing where I'm focused on, I'm going to read this every night and then wake up in the morning, I'm going to read it, I'm going to fail. But if I have pressure and I have support from my peers,
Yep.
it's going to get done. It's like a group project where you're the only one working on it.
Mhm.
Every high school group project ever, by the way. I have this pressure from these peers. I need to get it done good, because if I don't, my peers are going to get mad because they didn't get a good grade. Even though they didn't do any work, they're going to get mad because they didn't get a good grade, because I was put in charge of it.
Yeah.
So I think that having that pressure or from around you, or having that support from your peers is really important if you have this goal. And I think the first thing that I do whenever I have a goal is I look to someone for, here's what I'm planning to do. Don't necessarily keep me on track with it. I just want to let you know.
Yep. It's social proof. It's
Yeah.
you basically putting it out into the world to make it real.
Yeah.
Like once I say it, boom, they heard it. Now I got to do it.
Yeah.
And dude, it's funny that you say that, because I was listening to, so I go to my men's Bible study on Wednesday nights, and there's this audio thing we've been supposed to be listening to. I've been lagging on it, but I was at the gym with Adam, and he had it playing on his phone, and it was talking about accountability groups, or just having the right group around you to hold you accountable. And this gentleman who was speaking, he was saying how he has a group of friends and they share each other what goals they're going towards. And the sole purpose when they call each other is to run through 5 questions. Right when he answers the phone, he goes, how's your walk with God doing? Boom. Tell me how your walk with God's going. How's your reading been going? What have you learned in the Bible? Boom. Give me an explanation. What have you been studying outside of the Bible related to your goals? And what have you learned? Give me examples. What are you working towards this week that's going to get done that you have not yet started? How can I hold you accountable? And then I think the last one was like, how's the family? How's everything else in life going? So these men were holding each other accountable, and they had a strict questionnaire they would ask each other to keep each other on track. And obviously you don't need to go that crazy with it, but I think to be a service to those who actually like to hang out and watch, if you want to have me and Tyler or either one of us send you those send you those questions each week, we'd be more than welcome to. So if you want to message us on Instagram or on Facebook, let us know you want to be a part of the accountability group. And dude, I'd love to send those questions out each week to help you guys stay accountable. And yeah, it could help me stay accountable as well. You can ask them to me and I'll let you know what I've been up to. So yeah, just wanted to throw that out there, because right when you said that, I'm like, dude, we really, really should touch on that. But when it back to just step back towards that faith towards a good outcome. So no matter what your goal is, we said there's going to be an emotional roller coaster. There's going to be a learning curve. And if your goal is one of those goals that it's a God-only goal, the world can't change it. Doctors can't fix it. Nobody can do anything except God. I like the idea. I heard this lady years and years ago. She said she made a contract with God. So she wrote it out. I think she was struggling with getting pregnant. So she wrote down, God, by this time, I expect and have faith that you're going to give me a child. Blah, 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 blah. She just went through this contract with God. She brought up verses from the Bible, like, you say here that I will, like, that I'm meant to multiply here, here, and here. And she would read this out loud. She had it posted up on her mirror, and she'd read it every morning. And she said there'd be mornings where I'd weep and cry trying to get through it because I'd realize this hasn't happened yet. Like, this isn't done, but I'm going to do it to rewire my mind.
Yeah.
And after a long period of time, sure enough, things worked out. She had a kid, all that good stuff. But I feel like when you begin that process of fighting those poisonous thoughts in your head, trying to just break up all those old roads that you've paved in your head and rebuild something new, there has to be a process. It cannot be overnight or it's not legit. You have to be able to let that concrete sit in your mind for that road to get smoothed out.
So when you brought up the contract idea, is what first came into my mind is chemistry.
Yeah.
And when I was thinking about chemistry, I'm like, dude, I just had to memorize 8 rows of the periodic table, and it was okay. First of all, these words are a little insane.
Borium, barium, blah blah blah.
Oh, dude, I can recite them all right now, but I'm not going to. And I had to do it over and over, and I had to come up with these devices where I was like, Oliver seriously said 10 posts just to remember oxygen, sulfur, selenium, tellurium, polonium. And I had to come up with these devices to where I could remember them. And I think if we recite these, and like the contract, if we recite this each morning like she did, sooner or later they're going to become concrete in our head, and we're going to remember them.
Yep.
And once they become concrete while we're sitting at work and we have those extra 5 minutes, recite them.
Boom.
If we have those extra 5 minutes during lunch or during break in high school or just school in general, recite them. Any time that you can pray or talk. I listened to a sermon by Sean Drabeck yesterday, and he was talking about how he prayed. He was praying every minute of the day. And he said at first it was really, really difficult just because this was a chore that I had to do. But after a while, it was becoming easier and it was becoming just part of my routine.
So that, like, basically when he's not talking with people and he's just by himself, almost like building a habit of just talking to God constantly.
So if you're writing down those 93 vocab words that your teacher made you do in Spanish, and you're just writing this down, not even paying attention to what the word says. You're just looking over, spelling, checking, doing that, and you're just talking to God through your head, and you're reciting that contract when you have this extra, that extra hour.
Yep.
And you're just saying, "Hey, God," and you have a conversation, not necessarily a formal prayer like you hear at church.
Of course, yeah.
If you're just having a conversation with God, it'll happen. Because if you just do that every 5 minutes, whatever you're praying for, whatever you're having a conversation with God for every single day in those 5 minutes during Spanish, or those 5 minutes at lunch break or whatever. If you're reciting this and you're talking to God and you're having a conversation with him, whatever you're asking him to do or whatever you're talking to him about will happen, because you're one of the key things to like find the kingdom of God is to constantly pursue and to constantly pray and to ask to find the kingdom, ask to find your purpose. And if we're pursuing that every day, and if we're like putting pressure on finding this goal and getting to this goal, it's going to happen.
It says it, seek and you shall find.
Yeah.
And even if the circumstances aren't what you're looking for, it's the peace that you
found it.
Yeah. It's so like when you're talking about this moment that you're looking towards, this expectation that you have not yet seen.
Yeah.
It's when you're sitting there having faith that it's going to happen, even if God doesn't bring that situation that you're praying for, he's going to bring the feeling that you're looking for in that moment, because all we're typically looking for is peace. When we're praying and asking for something, it's because we're lacking a sense of peace and just content. And yeah, it's like you said, if you take those 5 minutes every day and just recite what you're working towards, ask God, recite that contract. It's like, even if those circumstances don't get met, that peace you're seeking, God will provide. It's a promise. It's guaranteed. But I like how you said it. It says I think it's Matthew 6, where it's like, you need to seek the kingdom of God above all else. And everything you're worried about, it's all going to get handled. all you have to do is seek God first.
Yep.
And I think people get so daunted by what that means to truly seek God first. And it's, like you said, it's trying to continually build that habit of having him first place in your heart, first place in your mind.
And I think a lot of people nowadays in their Instagram bio, they put God first, or they put God, family, this, in that order. I see that a lot. And then you meet them at school, or you know them at school, and you're like, this doesn't reflect. And I think even with me, that might not reflect.
Oh, dude, I know it doesn't for me half the time. Tomorrow morning's Coffee with Kyler is literally about how sometimes I'm scared of not putting on the right mask around people, because I'm like, oh crap, if I let that sin slip, like, am I going to ruin your walk with God? Am I going to make you not like me? Like,
well, I think that's part of the pressure, is that with telling everybody every single day that I'm this Christian and I'm going to put this out for everybody every day, is you have to live up to those standards sometimes. And if I talked about how I have a different mask on at school versus at church. Where at church I'm myself, and then at school I'm this quiet kid that doesn't really want to talk to anybody. I think that living up to the standard where we're the same at church and at school, which is something I'm working on, is really difficult.
Oh, dude, I'm envious of you, because there's moments where, like, at home, I'm me. When I'm around my family, I'm chilling.
Yeah.
There's certain friends, I'm normal, I'm me. And then there's moments where, like, even at church, I'm like, oh man, like, I really need to make sure I don't say that or do that, because I know that might not be what the church people really expect out of me. And I think that's even more difficult with Coffee with Kyler. It's like when I show up to church and I have those certain individuals who are like, hey, I'm like, oh shoot, hi, how you doing? Like, oh crap, like I need to make sure that I'm on point, because I don't want to ever just like walk in and be my normal lazy self, like, oh hey, what's up, and just walk by and not care. It's like, no, I need to continually remind myself, like, I have, there's a responsibility.
Then, with Coffee with Kyler, activate the word. I think sometimes I'm pretty sure I put this on myself, but I think sometimes they'll come to me and they'll ask me a question. I think that I need to give them this really like perfectly godly shaped answer, because I write these things every night where I make it look like I know what I'm talking about. And sometimes I do.
Yeah.
And sometimes I have no idea what it's saying, and in hopes that if I write it down, I'll know what it's saying. Yeah. Or in a few years, I'll know what it's saying when I especially need it. But right now, I'm like, I don't understand this any more than the next person does. Yeah. So I think that there's this pressure sometimes that I need to say the right thing. I need to say exactly what I wrote in this Activate the Word. I need to say exactly what I said during this Coffee with Kyler. Yep. To get the right information across, when really we should be trusting God. Like you said, when you sat down with that guy at church and you prayed with him, we should be trusting God to put it on our hearts to say the right thing. Exactly. That's like when Moses was sitting there going, God, I stutter. Like, how am I going to speak before Pharaoh? Yeah. And God's like, drop your staff. He turns it into a snake, picks it back up. He's like, oh, okay. He's like, don't worry. I'm going to speak for you. I got this under control. And I think, a lot of us, that's probably a fear with a lot of people working towards a goal. It's like, people love when they know exactly what step to take. And if there's a step where they're like, I don't know where it's going to land. It's like, okay, never mind. I'm going to turn back. I'm going to go exactly where I knew I was coming from. And that's one thing. Yeah, burn those ships. That's one thing I had written in here that I didn't touch on. It's like, you are not going to know every step of your goal. If you know every step of your goal, that is a proof that you are lazy. Like, hands down. If you're like, oh yeah, for me to get to there, all I got to do is these 8 steps. It's like, okay, bro, you're just lazy then. Like, you should go, I know how to do the first 8, but those last however many, I have no clue how to get there. Yeah. And it's like, that's how you're working towards a realistic goal. And it's like Coffee with Kyler. I have no idea where it's going to take me. I have no idea. It could be one day somebody gives me a phone call and they're like, bro, we're going to start a Christian TV show and we'd like you to do Coffee with Kyler every morning at 7. It's like, that'd be the dream goal, but I have no idea how that would happen. So it's like, you just have to do what you know you can do now until God opens that door. Yeah, and I think, I'm just going to use photography as an example for this one. In some cases, the steps aren't necessarily laid out. We don't have this perfectly shaped staircase. But if we put in the work and if we practice and we take these shots every single day, and if we take a shot of the same thing every single day, but every single day we do it in a different way.
Yeah.
And you're crafting your style and you're crafting how you want it to look and you're crafting just how you want to build your brand. If we put in this practice and if we put in this work every day, sooner or later someone's going to approach us, or we're going to come up to someone and we're going to say, hey, I have this proposal for you. What do you think? Or they're going to come up to us and they're going to say, even better, if they're going to come up to us and they're going to say, hey, I have this proposal for you. What do you think? And it's in that instance where you either have to say, that's the big decision. Like I said earlier, my friend, she got offered this Sony thing, but she still has to go through high school.
Yep.
And she can't necessarily go on tour with all these bands to take video with them because she still has all this schoolwork she needs to do, all this homework. She still wants to have this social life with her friends. She still has church that she looks forward to every week. So the big decision is going to be difficult. It's always going to be difficult.
Yeah.
There's never an easy big decision.
No, definitely not.
If it's an easy big decision, then it's not a big decision.
And it's like what when it comes to these things that we do every day, Activate the Word, Coffee with Kyler, this lady or the girl at school who does the TV video production, all that stuff. She's at a position right now where I heard this saying a long time ago and I love it. It's better to be prepared for an opportunity than have an opportunity and not be prepared. And she is prepared for the opportunity, but not ready to obviously dive into it. But the beautiful thing about her situation is now that the opportunity's there, no matter what progress she makes for the next couple of years, that opportunity, it's guaranteed because she already has the potential. Whereas in our situation, we're still working towards for the opportunity. But if we take that easy way out and go, man, I could take one night off. I'm sick. It's like that one night off could be the difference of that opportunity coming or not coming. Because that's all it takes is one person to come across one of our Instagram pages and go, this looks like they do it every day. Whoa, it really looks like they do it every day. And watch the one person go deep dive in and go, he missed 3 days, bro. He ain't what we want. It's like, no, I want to make sure I do it every day.
Yeah.
And it's not just like there's so many outside reasons for it. Like we said, a lot of it's internal. We don't want to feel that just defeat within ourselves. But it's also, I feel like the reason we don't want to feel that defeat is because God's put it on our heart that there's something out there that we're working towards. And I have faith that there is going to be an opportunity somewhere down the line, because with just the very few people that our social medias have reached, I've seen change within individuals. And it's like, if I see change with the skill set I have now, see me 365 days from now, bro. Wait till I'm 500 episodes in and then come see the change. It's
I think I haven't, like you said, I've seen change in individuals. I've seen a lot more change in myself than I have in other people, which is primarily why I do it, because I want to grow in this relationship with God. And with these other people that I have in my life, I don't see as much change, maybe because they're not necessarily working towards my goal every day. They're not working towards my goal every day. My goal is to do this every day of the week. My goal is to have this big relationship with God. But they might be working towards it in a different way. Or they might not be working towards it by reading my Activate the Word every night. Which I'm totally fine with. I mean, if they're working towards a relationship with God, do it in any way you can. Do it in your way. But in a big way, I think that writing down what you read and just writing down what you hear, like in school, if you're writing notes, whatever you write down, that information you're going to retain better.
I think the statistic is like you have a 10% chance of recollecting like perfectly what you've been taught. If you write it down, you have like an 80% chance of doing it. And then if you write it down and teach it, you're at like 96 or 90-something% of remembering the information.
That's why, like with working on the sermon, where my pastor had me recite it so many times over and over again, is I have it memorized by heart now. I know every single word on that page, every single word on the page, because I've gone over and I've read over it and I've just said it out loud. I've talked like in a coffee shop with you. I've given you my sermon out loud. And because I've done that so many times and I've recited it, same with if you're in a play or if you're singing a song for a talent show and you need to remember it, what you do is you sing it over and over again, you rehearse it. So by rehearsing it or by writing something down, you're going to know it better. You're going to remember it better.
Yep.
And that information is going to stick and you're going to be able to teach it because you understand it.
Yeah. I like it. I'm trying to think if for our listeners, what would be the 3 things you would encourage them to do this week based off of all the knowledge that we have dumped out in the last hour or so? Number 1 thing I would recommend first and foremost is write it down.
Write it down for sure.
Write it down, preferably on a mirror so you see it every day. They sell those like washable markers that you could write on your mirror. I got some at my mom's house. Those things are awesome. Write your goal down on your bathroom mirror. Start with 1 goal and then boom, go from there. Second thing would be, I would say, to share it. Share your goal, post it online, throw it up on your Instagram, your Facebook, whatever. Turn the comments off so you don't have people trying to steal your dream.
Yeah. Even if it's just an Instagram story.
Yeah. But whatever you do, I'm telling you, when it comes to your goals, there are people that like to be toxic dream stealers.
Oh, yeah.
And when you share what you are so passionate about starting, there's going to be somebody that wants to shut that down quicker than you begin because it's going to make them feel so much better knowing that they helped somebody fail because that's what they're really good at.
Even if, like you said, there's going to be someone that tries to tear you down, they may have tried at that goal before, but they may have not succeeded.
Yep.
So if you succeed, they're going to see, oh, dude,
I can do it as well.
Yeah. If they were able to succeed, or even if you just post it for the first time and they're like, I know they have the potential to succeed at this, but I'm going to make them think they don't, so they don't actually succeed. And like you said, toxic dream stealer.
Yep, they're a toxic dream stealer. So either turn your comments off or share it with individuals that you know will bring you up. That's probably the best advice. Share your goals with people that can hold you accountable and that can lift you up if you're struggling with it. Also, a little side note on number 2 is if you do start your goal, share it with us and we'll hold you accountable. We'd love to do that each and every week. We'll try and keep you on track. And then third thing towards your goal, I would say do something right now. I would say start it today and have
never too late to start.
Never too late. Put in 5 minutes. That should be the goal. Put in 5 minutes today. Write it down, share it, put in 5 minutes. I think that's be a good one.
Even if it's right before you go to bed. 5 minutes, 8 minutes.
5 to 8 minutes, 5 to 10, either one. If you don't have 5 to 10 minutes, you don't have a life. So you should find one.
If it's starting your website, just seriously take 5 minutes, come up with, if you already have the idea, come up with a name.
Yep.
Just come up with the name, easy, simple, motto maybe if you have extra time. If you don't have any idea on what you want to do, map it out. Get a journal, get a piece of paper, and start thinking, this is my end goal. This is what I want to finish with. What's gonna be the first step that I could take tomorrow?
Yep.
And in that 5 minutes tomorrow, you start doing that first step. And that first step may take you 10 days. But at least in 10 days later, you're like, man, I got that first step done. I have this motivation to get this next step done.
Yeah, I was listening to Jordan Peterson yesterday, and he was saying that most people don't start working on a goal because the list in their head is too unbearable. Long. So he said, like, what's funny is he goes through this process of saying, what are you not terrified to do right now? So he goes, are you too scared to pull your laptop out? No? Okay, pull your laptop out. Are you too scared to open the internet up? Okay, fine, pull the internet up. You too scared to log into your email? Okay, cool, get your email on. And he goes through this process of what's the first step on your goal? Oh, your first step's buying a website. Okay, are you scared enough, or are you too scared to go to the website? Great, you're on the website. Are you too scared to put your credit card in to buy the website? Oh, that's where you're going to stop. Okay, this is where you're too scared to continue. Make it a goal to start there tomorrow and just buy the name. And then if you're too scared to begin the process of building the website, start that tomorrow. Just recognize what step you're scared of, get to that point and reach it, and see if it's actually that scary to step over. And it was a real interesting way he put it. I probably botched the whole thing. The way he put it was beautiful and it made a lot of sense. But I guess the main point is just get to the point that you're scared of and see if it's really that terrifying.
And even if, like you said, you use the example of the website, if you're thinking about building a website, I wouldn't necessarily go straight to buying it. I build all my websites on Wix, and that's a free website builder. And later on, you can buy the domain name, and you can buy it without the ads and without the build your website on Wix banner at the top.
Yep.
So build it on there and publish it and see what maybe not your family thinks, because your family's always going to sugarcoat what they think.
Yeah.
Even that's one of the biggest tips in photography. Never take your pictures to your family, because they're always going to, your mom's always going to go, oh man, that's an amazing picture. But if you take it to other photography, your teacher, they're going to go, man, this picture sucks.
Yep.
And
yeah, you have to know your audience when it comes to getting proper advice.
So
know your audience.
Yeah, first build it for free. And if your goal is a website, first build it for free on Wix. That's the out of all of them. Weebly, you can use Weebly.com. Wix is the easiest I found. And then later on, buy the domain name, buy the website name.
Yep.
You can buy it without ads.
Yep.
And seriously, it's the easiest and best way to do it if your goal is a website.
Yep. And whatever your goal is, like we said, write it down and even make a contract with yourself, make a contract with God, whatever it may be, just get your goal on paper and just go through those steps. Tyler, do you have any last thing you want to leave our beautiful guests with before we embark on the rest of our life?
So you just one last thing.
Yes.
You said you have this list.
Yep.
And I think we have it in the notes, is you wrote down Tyler's homework every day.
Yeah.
And I brought it up in probably every single one of these. I have this homework planner where I write out every single day. I get into class, I look at the agenda, I write down the homework. Even if I get it done in that class, I leave it on there. I get home and I look at my agenda. I'm like, okay, I've already got that done. Okay, I've already got that done. I still got to do that, but I've gotten this done. Out of like 4 classes, I have 3 other things done. I have one last thing to do. And even if that is an essay that I have to write, or I have to rewrite that essay, I look at these and I'm like, that's quadruple times the work that I did on this.
Exactly. So you save the check off for when you get home and you're about to begin your work. So it's almost like, okay, what do I have left? That's done. That's done. That's done. This will be done in 5 minutes. And it's like you just started with momentum. Dude, that's a great tip. I want to leave people with that. So when it comes to your goal, create your daunting list, whatever it may be, all the steps you know how to do before you get to the unknown. And yeah, I like that. Read your list in the morning, crush it throughout the day, do as much as you can, whatever it may be. And then if you're like, okay, it's 5 o'clock, I really think I could work on this goal for 20 or 30 minutes. What have I gotten done today? I've gotten this done, this done, this done, this done, this done. Bam, I'm going to plow out 4 of them instead of 1 because you just had that motivation of everything you went through for the day. Dude, that's beautiful. I love that. I love that. All right. So we do not have a plan for our next show just yet.
We don't.
So if you have anything you want to list or any any ideas, any struggles that you're facing, anything like that, part of me wants to do not a series, but an episode on how you become whoever raises you. You become your parents, whether you like it or not. I want to do an episode on that because it's so funny how it took the darkest point in my life to make me realize that I'm just like my parents and I can't really change it. So I thought that was a pretty funny one. So yeah, think of any ideas, share them with us. If you want to be on the accountability group, send us your email and your goal and we'll keep you on track. Love you all. Take it easy. You want to go press the end button?
I will.
Gonna go press the end button. All right. Love you all. Take it easy. Peace out.